This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com, and today is our guest here in, I guess we're in the Tampa area of Florida. It's Colonel Robert Parker, also known as Robert Fuller, who most of you remember from WCW, but he was also in WWE as Tennessee Lee. And a lot of people don't know this, but he also had his own promotion for a long time and grew up in a wrestling family. So before I get into it, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I don't usually get to saying the names there. I said, dadgummit, I got so many names, I forget my own self sometime.
Well, you're not as bad as Brutus Beefcake. I think he holds the record for most names. But as I was saying a second ago, you grew up in a wrestling family. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about the history of your family and their involvement in promoting wrestling?
Well, my grandfather, Roy Welch, he owned the largest territory probably of all time before there was any cable or anything. He was one of four brothers, Jack, Herb, Lester, and Roy, my grandfather. They were very popular throughout the Tennessee area, and my grandfather, along with Nick Goulis, his partner in promotion, ran 5 states. Kentucky, Tennessee, some of Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, and they were considered probably the largest office in all the NWA when the NWA was together and so forth. So we got a very proud heritage in wrestling because of my grandfather. My dad, Buddy Fuller, he started wrestling as Buddy Fuller because the Welch boys, his dad and his dad's brothers, didn't really want to have anybody stomp on the Welch name. They thought they'd build it up so big in those 5 states, and so my dad took on the name of Fuller, Buddy Fuller, and he wrestled his career as Buddy Fuller and promoted many places. He was one of the largest promoters. He was a partner in Florida, Deep South Wrestling, and he owned Georgia Championship Wrestling for a long time. The same company that my brother and I ran in Alabama, the whole state of Alabama. My father started that as Gulf Coast Wrestling back in the 50s. We got quite a background in wrestling. There's probably no other family as large as the Welch family in professional wrestling.
Did they kayfabe you when you were growing up as a young child? Did you think your dad and grandfather were literally getting beaten to pulp some nights?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And as a matter of fact, I wrestled in high school, and I was a Georgia State champion in high school. And you would think, watching professional wrestling and then doing the maneuvers that you do to be an amateur wrestler and win championships, you know there's something going on here. It's a lot different, maybe too different. But my father was famous for what they call hard ways, that there's hardly a guy that ever worked for my dad that didn't get his eye busted one time or another. And my dad was a real genius at it. He was a cutter. Boy, he'd throw that right over the nick of that eye, and he thought he could do it easier than any way you could get blood. Dad said the easiest way to get blood is let me hit you, because I just like a little stinger, and I'll get you a few stitches. And of course I had it happen to me. He and Eddie Graham had me busted open in the sportatorium when I first started working down here, and in Griffin, Georgia. Also Luke Graham, he had Luke Graham bust my eye in a Saturday night match there, and so I could go back to school and show people that wrestling was real. I had seen so many hard ways in my time that I had a difficult time questioning. And I know the night that they decided they were going to smarten me up, I was in Miami, and I was just graduating from school, and Dad knew I'd start wrestling the next year, and so he had Sputnik Monroe take me in the back and talk with me. And Monroe talked to me for, well, I guess, 20 minutes, trying to smarten me up. And everything he's saying, I'm saying, yeah. And I go. And I go back out after he talks to me and talk to Dad, and Dad says, "Hey, what did Monroe say?" And I said, heck, I don't know. He just kind of just full of shit. He was just saying all kinds of stuff. And Dad said, he went to Monroe. He said, "I'll be darned, guy. You can't even smarten a dadgum kid up, can you?" So no, I had a real difficult time accepting the fact that wrestling was an awful lot of showbiz, and when I found out it was, I was a happy man.
I guess the most recent hard way that anyone has seen in this era would have been that SummerSlam where they had Brock Lesnar, I guess, give elbows to Randy Orton to bust him up. I don't know if you probably don't follow wrestling today, but
I do.
Okay.
I do. I didn't see that particular thing, but I know that's the easiest way in the world. The elbow. It's sharp. It's nice and easy way to cut somebody. So I'm not surprised that he used that. But you know what? I'm glad to see that today, because I know in my day working I was a young kid. I made a lot of money working, and my deal was young white meat babyface bleeding, and I bled 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, and so I had scars all over my head from being cut all to pieces. But you know, once in a while, my father would say, "Well, you know, you got to once in a while, you got to give something back. You know, you can cut, and then it's going to be a time that you got to give something back." And there wasn't many guys that ever worked for him that could say no. He had a way of asking that you just couldn't say no. And I know he did it to me, and I darn well couldn't say no.
So what actually made you decide to start wrestling? Was it just something you always wanted to do?
Raised for it. I was pretty much raised for it. Well, we were raised on a ranch. Always hard work. And Dad worked us, Ron and I, and he paid us very little, and he worked the living fire out of us. And we got off from work for sports that we did in high school, and so naturally we wanted to do every sport to not have to show up after school and spend a lot of time in the field working. But he wanted you to know, you know, a hard day's work never hurt a guy. Hot sun, then he'd come in his Cadillac and he'd set up jobs and stuff, and we'd work in the field, and he'd jump back in, turn on his air conditioner, and head off to the wrestling to go do his thing. And I knew one day I'd like to get in that Cadillac and turn on the air conditioner and kind of do that myself. So when we got into wrestling, I found the trips to be very easy. I loved the fact that the job had air conditioning, and I could buy myself a Cadillac. I was lucky enough to make good money, and I'd haul my buddies, and I just found it to be more fun than a barrel of monkeys. Man never worked a day if he loved his job, and I know, boy, I sure did love wrestling. And I was lucky to get into it, to have Dad that kind of raised us for it, and tough life that you know, he put a lot of stuff before my brother and I were growing up. He made life pretty tough for us, and you know, horses and everything else. That I was a boy that I wasn't scared of anything. Growing up in my life, I'd ride bulls and bucking horses, and I was very good at it, and I didn't mind fighting. It didn't bother me a bit. The guys in school knew that. They knew that, you know, I'm not a guy to be messed with. I stayed in good shape, took care of myself, and I was proud of my name.
So what was the pay like? You're mentioning the pay was good. What was it exactly? Not exactly, but if you give us an average and compare that to today's money, what that would be in today's money?
Well, you know, I started in 1969, summer of 1969. I graduated from high school, and I started wrestling, and my dad owned Georgia Championship Wrestling with Ray Gunkel at that particular time, and I could work 4 days a week, and bring home $250, $300. And back then, that was pretty good money, particularly for a young punk just starting off in the business. It paid my car bills and got me a place to live, and I was off to the races pretty good. And then I left there, came down to Florida to work with Eddie Graham and the folks down here, and I was working full time, and so sometimes I was bringing home 500, and that was pretty doggone nice too. And I got a break then working for my grandfather Nick Goulis up in Tennessee. Jarrett had just taken the book up there, and he had some problems in his marriage or something. His marriage broke up, and he got with Eddie Marlin. He's another wrestler up there, his beautiful daughter, and they ran off on a marriage vacation. He was in an angle with Tojo Yamamoto against Don and Al Green, Steve Clemens as a manager, and it was a main event in Memphis. Selling out, you could make $700–800 in one night, sometimes even more. And when he left, they needed a young boy to take his spot, and I just happened to come in there just as he and her eloped and did their thing, and they just threw me right into that spot with Tojo as a partner, and I'd bleed every night. The Greens had beat me half to death, and I'd tag Tojo hot boy, and it's chop chop double chop, he was over like nobody's business, and we sold out everything for Goulis and Welch. And then when Jerry came back, he and I were just an instant hit, just like that. I mean, we just met the night that he came back, Chattanooga, and he rode home with me, and we had a chance to talk and get to know one another, and went over to my house, and I got out my guitar, I played guitar, and we sang songs together and all the stuff. We just got to be the best doggone friends that ever was. And he got interested in paying me more money than I could have ever imagined in my life. That I just, first week there I make like $700, and the second week there I make $1,200, and then before you know it I'm making $1,500, and I'm just a young boy in my early 20s, and I don't know what to do with all the doggone money. So like young boys in their early 20s, I go and waste it, right? Buy too much, then you got to pay your income tax.
And what was the wrestling groupies like in those days? We've heard the stories about Tennessee territory being known for that, but was your territory that you were from also big for the girls, for the wrestling?
Girls?
Yeah.
Girls? Oh gosh, man, I'll tell you, the promoters, all promoters that hired young boys, if they pushed a young guy, and one of the things, if they gave you a push as a young guy, and you're a good looking young guy, good suntan, go to the gym every day, work out and everything, they expect that of you. I mean, they expect you to be a guy who likes the girls, and they applaud you for it, and it helps you with getting your push. So yeah, you know, I heard a little while ago Ric Flair talking about being with thousands of women. I've never been with thousands of women, but I can say quite a few, and I was kind of raised that way. My dad was like, hey boy, you don't want you to get married too quick and have all the girlfriends you can have, and he applauded me for it. He said, oh boy, that's a beautiful girl. Oh, where'd you get this one? Nah, son of a gun, that one there. That it even goes further than that. I got one story I can tell you. You know Jim Barnett?
Of course, yeah.
All right, Jim Barnett, that I worked for him, and that was in.
I'm sure you got an impression of him too.
In the middle, oh yeah, and in the middle of the 70s, Barnett had what he called a fart club, and the boys would, young boys, especially myself and Gerald Briscoe and Ricky Gibson and Jimmy Golden and Bob Borton, all young guys. And we'd all meet for the fart club. Do you know what that stands for? F an arena rat today. It was the part I mean, it was, I didn't say that, although that didn't make a lot of people mad, but that's the honest truth. And we had meetings. Hey, Robert, is Ricky effing the girls, and this is doing that, and what's Jimmy doing, and you know, there was yeah, there were groupies.
Because it kept them coming back, I guess, to the shows.
Yes, because what would happen, that if you're at a little Saturday night spot show over here, and you've got 20 of the prettiest dadgum girls in town, where's the boys going to go?
Yeah.
They're going to go buy the ticket, because you say, heck, you've got 6 guys there that the girls want to see, and then there's going to be a lot left.
That's true.
Boy, I'll tell you what, you put me on the spot with all that. I'm glad my wife's not here.
Yeah, that'd be a little awkward. I was talking to Luke Williams today, and he said to say hi to you, and I was wondering if you have any story about him you'd like to share.
Who's that?
Bushwhacker Luke.
Oh yeah, Luke. The boys, you know, when the boys came over, Luke came over from New Zealand, and teamed up with Jonathan Boyd, and they went to work for us in Alabama. And we struggled a little bit with those guys as a team, getting them over at first, because Luke was so, you know, he's to make the faces and do the stuff. And Jonathan Boyd, I don't know if you know him, but he was a strict, growling, tough, mean son of a gun. I mean, and he was that way in the ring. A little difficult to work with, because he didn't like to sell a lot, and he liked to lay his stuff in and stuff. And there's Luke then behind him with all the crazy stuff and the things, and we just put those guys over because we needed a team, and they became the best tag team that we had ever had. That the combination of the tough, mean son of a gun and the crazy New Zealand guy, and then we got the people carrying the flag around and hating New Zealand, which I don't know why anybody'd hate New Zealand. It's a beautiful place, but with these 2 guys, you'd start to hate New Zealand, watching the way we used them and the good tag team that they were. And I got nothing good to say. Nothing bad to say about Luke. He's the best. And you know, when they left us, of course he got him another partner, which was a smart thing to do. And then here they go up to New York, and I applaud them up there every time I see them.
And another tag team you started, of course, was Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake. I think they started in your territory.
Yes, yes they did.
What was Hulk like in those days?
Hulk came in, he was green. Man, I mean, and like we did with a lot of big guys, we had guys like Danny Davis that that worked training guys in Vince's school, and guys in our territory that we really thought were great workers. And when we'd get a big guy in like that, we'd marry him. We'd just marry the 2 together. We'd get an angle going between them, and we'd put them together, and we'd just marry them. And in Hulk's case, we'd just say, hey, there's a bear hug, use it, and listen to Danny, and he'll kind of guide you the direction you need to go. That Hulk was one of those guys that we saw immediate money in. We had difficulty getting a good match out of him, but it didn't seem to matter. And it's really crazy, because in our territory, you had to be able to back up your mouth. If you go out there and make a great interview, that's fine. But then, like Jerry Lawler or guys like that, you better go out there and follow it up with a great match. And we had a little difficulty getting that great match that we wanted, but we never got cut short on the dollar figure coming in the door. That the people loved Hulk, and they were there for him. And when he came in for us, before Eddie came in, and Eddie naturally is Beefcakes, and before Eddie came in, we had it was Harley worked with him in Dothan, Alabama. We had a building seat 5,000, more people. But we had to go to a football stadium because we probably drew closer to 15,000 people with Hawk and Harley, and we'd only had Hawk in for maybe 10 weeks, 2.5 months. And it takes a little longer to get a guy over than that, but we couldn't hold the people in the building that we had, and then a guy like Harley can go out there and just, you know, he can work with a broomstick if he needs to, and so he'd get a pretty decent match out of Hawk, and that's the kind of thing that we needed to kind of move him along and move him along. I know we sent him to Memphis in order to work with Jerry Lawler and to work with some people that we thought he'd really benefit being in the ring with, because then he'd come back to us being a better worker, and that worked for him also. That we tried to get him to work with as many good people as we possibly could, but we saw the money in the guy. Didn't stay with us very long. He was off to New York because that talent wasn't going to be held back to the money that we paid in Alabama. He could make millions in New York. He's on his way, and we wished him well. Everybody that went to New York, we wished him well.
Did he treat you well in later years when you were both in WCW together?
Yes, for the most part. For the most part, you know, Jimmy Hart, his manager.
Yeah.
And when they came into Atlanta in WCW and started their NWO and all the stuff, I was hot. I mean, I was the hottest thing in there by far as a manager, and they wanted that to change. But you know what? But I saw their need for that, and I really was thinking maybe it's time for you to be thinking about another place to go, because they were going to make that exchange for me being hot up here and then Jimmy Hart coming along. And so you know, but I never held that against Hulk. He had a lot of authority with WCW when he came in, and I knew that there might be some problems there, but business is business, and I know from running business over the years, I'm not going to make everybody happy, and there comes a time, you know, we get a 5-7 year run, we're on top of our game, man. We have done beautiful, so we're not going to sit back and gripe about somebody else getting a push.
And of course, there's the notorious story about the Rockers when they were in your territory. Can you tell us what exactly happened there? We recently interviewed Marty Jannetty, but he wasn't very specific, and he was saying it was basically Sean's fault that you guys ended up firing them, I guess.
You know what happened, and again, it's hard, I don't want to criticize good people, close friends of mine, but Bob Armstrong was real hot for us as Bullet Bob, and at that time in Alabama, and he had 3 sons in there working, Brad, Steve, and Scott, and they were all working, and they were pushing. They wanted me to push Tracy Smothers and his son Steve Armstrong, very, very strong, as Southern boys, and so that was the same time that we brought these guys in. Now I looked at the Rockers and I said, "Whoa, man, we're going to do this." And I don't have any problem with just saying, man, this is it. We're going to shove this team 9 million miles an hour. Well, that right away got a bad feeling going with a real dear friend of mine, Bob Armstrong. And Bob thinking, you know, you've already got, what are you hiring these guys? What do you want these guys when you already got Steve and Tracy and the Southern boys, and you can give them a big push and they're going to draw you the money you need and all. And just said, well, they had been there for a while, and so I just made a change and started pushing the Rockers really hard. And there was problems. It's got to be problems, enough to where I told my brother, Ron, that I didn't want to really deal with it. So he said, okay. And so I took a vacation, and Bob Armstrong took the book to do the booking. And when he did, he fired the Rockers right there and said, okay, we're going to go with Steve and Tracy. And my brother just went, what? You know, and I, you know, I'm sitting in the background there, and I said, hey, I said, you didn't know that was coming? I said, oh. He was like, gosh, you can't do that. You know, we can't do that. So Bob stepped back. I came back in, took the book again, hired him back right away. And probably a month later, that dissension, that hardship between good friends that had worked together for years and years, that I took a stand. I said, listen, I want these boys. That's it. And then New York wanted them. And so it's the easy answer. So now we're pushing Steve and Tracy.
Right.
but I saw the quality of these guys, and I knew Sean, but without a doubt, really going places. And I wanted to be on the ground floor of that and make a lot of money while doing it.
So that explains when I was doing my shoot interview with Tracy, he said he felt a lot of heat from Sean in the WWE's dressing room, and that explains probably where a lot of that heat stems from, if Sean was aware of some of the stuff going on.
There was some hard feelings, because like I said, I had Tracy and Steve living there and starting to work with them. And then I just had a chance to get my hands on these boys, the Rockers, and I said, oh, I've turned down that good talent. I'm not going to do it. We're just going to deal with this. And it wound up being one of those deals very difficult to deal with without hardship of dear friends and people's families, you know, stuff that happens. But, you know, I've always said, you know, dadgummit, man, the bottom line is, you know, we do what we need to do to fill up the house and to choose the best talent and use them the best we can.
And another talent that you managed in his early days in your territory was Cactus Jack. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Oh, good gosh. One of my closest friends. It just, what a guy. My dad was alive. He would have loved this guy. I mean, he would have just, and I told Jack that many times. I said, man, if my dad was alive, he would absolutely love you. That here's a guy that just wanted to do a hard way every night. But I knew another guy like that, Fargo, Donnie Fargo. Same type of guy, but here comes Jack, and he's the new Donnie Fargo, and he wants to get beat up, and I just said, that's the most beautiful thing I ever saw in my life, man. Well, you know, you want to bleed, and you want this, and you want that, and we'll give it to you. I remember one night working in a tag match, me and Jimmy Golden against him and somebody. I can't even remember who it was. And we got Japan there taking a look at him to maybe have him go to Japan. We're in Louisville, Kentucky. And my wife carries a kendo stick. She hits guys on the outside, and I throw them out of the ring and all this stuff. And so he tells me, he said, along the finish here, that I'm going to get blood, and he said, you know, shoot me in and get that kendo stick and whack me back of the head coming by hard as you can, and I'm going to tie my head in the ropes. I'll take the bump over, tie my head in the ropes. And he said, and then Rob, he said, do me a favor. He says, just blister me. He said, don't hold up, don't pull up, don't do everything you got. And I say, all right. good deal, we'll do it. So we go down, and sure enough, and the spot comes up, boy, and I get the stick, and he's selling with the blood, and I shoot him in the ropes, and he comes off, and I smack him in the back of the head on the way by, and he ties his head in the ropes, but the ropes are too tight. When he ties his head, and they're strangling him. But I don't know this. All I know is what he tells me. And so, boy, I just start. Once in the front, boom, here. Once in the top, once in the back. And then redo. And hard as I can hit him. I mean, no playing, no game. Just like my dad would have done it back in the old days. That I blistered him, man. Just boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam. Just over and over and over. And I see the panic on his face. And I think, well, I'm doing a damn good job here, blistering him good with this. I don't let up. I go ahead and I lay it on him. But when he comes out, and I know in Japan the story is he tore off an ear. But here that night, he tore off half of his ear, getting out of the ropes, and he got out. So when he comes downstairs, I know they come down, they tell me, they say he's torn off half his ear, they're looking for it in the thing. So he comes down, I'm down in the dressing room, and I see him down at the other end, and here he comes. Gosh, dog, down, and I'm thinking, boy, I sure did tear you up with that dadgum stick. The stick started out this long, now it's this long. I tore it all to pieces on him, right there. And he's just grinning like a Cheshire cat. Man, he looks at me and goes, God, thank you. Oh, I'll never forget it. Thank you, thank you. And I'm standing hoodooed, you know. I'm like, gosh, I never see anything like this. That I literally did my best to hurt you, and you're here just thanking me, thanking me, thanking me. That's one story. I got 10 of them where I hurt him, kicked him, out off the ring apron onto the floor, just straight off on his back. When he hit the floor, you could hear him grunt 2 blocks down the street. Ah, concrete floor, whatever it is. I'd go out, spread out his legs, stomp his guts out. I mean, you're talking about as a heel trying to get over, working with a guy like that who gives it up. And he was making me a monster. And I just said, wow, man, I just freaking love this guy. So I wanted to take him every place that I went, and any place that I went, I'd say, hey, can you use Jack? You want to use Jack? Jack's your man. Yeah, because he was my sidekick, and I hung on to him. And he and I today, we just love one another. I'm glad he feels that way, because I sure got a thing for him, man.
And Sid is a guy that we've used in our company in Canada a lot, and we've done 2 interviews with now. I know he started with you in your territory, and it went on to WCW, but before we got into WCW, could you just talk about him in your personal territory?
Yeah. I had Downtown Bruno. You familiar with Downtown Bruno?
Harvey Whippleman.
Harvey Whippleman, yeah. Downtown Bruno. He was sending me pictures of him and guys, and he was up in Pittsburgh, I guess, and he wanted to come in and work for us. And I looked at the pictures, ridiculous. I'd never hire this guy. He's a little bitty twerp thing. It just, you know, I'd never hire him. And so I just always, you know, had sent something back. I'd say, hey, you find me a monster. Find me a monster. Find me a monster. And one day he sends me the picture. Him and Sid in the Lord Humongous outfit. Boy, I look at that picture and I say, give him a call. So that's the start of Downtown Bruno, Harvey Whippleman. He comes in with Sid. Sid comes in just like Hogan, just greener than a dadgum pepper sprout. And so we got to put him with somebody good. Hey, remember there's a bear hug. Y'all fight that bear hug, do this and that and that. Same thing. The son of a gun in 8-10 weeks time is selling out my houses. That just the look, the action, and we're trying to get a good match. Oh God, how are we going to get a good match out of this guy? But we're working on it. And he makes an improvement. He makes an improvement, and he does real good. then we done him a favor. So now you wonder, when are you going to get the favor done back for you? What's going to happen back for you? And Sid later on is the reason that I go as Colonel Parker into WCW. Yeah.
And Dutch Mantel is another guy you worked with a lot in your career. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, funny. He's a funny guy. I like riding the car with him, a ton of laughs, and a great worker. He's a guy that you don't worry about having a good match, that he's a quality worker. He's going to get in that ring no matter who he's against. He can even get in there with a guy like Sid that's struggling with his work and have a great match with him, that he's one of these guys that could do that. And a dear old buddy.
And according to the internet, you spent some time in the AWA teaming with Jimmy Golden. I don't recall really seeing any footage of that. Could you tell us about that?
Jimmy and I, we had an ongoing run for many years with the Rock and Roll Express, and we had great matches with them. I mean, sensational. So I made a couple of trips up for Vern to work with the Rock and Roll Express on bigger shows, pay-per-view stuff, things that he had that he thought he was going to do real well with, and we never let him down. That you put me and Jimmy Golden in the ring with Ricky Morton and Gibson, and you're going to have a tear down the house kind of match. And later on, that even went on into Smoky Mountain Wrestling and on. I mean, just every time that we showed up at a territory when the Rock and Roll Express were being used, oh, there's a natural. Put those guys together. That we had some great matches.
And how did you find Vern Gagne when you were dealing with him?
Really liked him. Really liked him. I sure did. I heard all kinds of things about him business-wise and so forth. But what a gentleman. What a great guy. And so I never worked for him an awful lot, so it's not a lot I could tell you except just, to me, a great guy. And Greg, his son. We were in the office in WCW together, and he's also a swell guy.
And you teamed with Jeff Jarrett for a while in Texas in his early days wrestling. What company was that for, and what were your thoughts on him at the time?
That was World Class Wrestling out of Dallas. I went in for Jarrett in the late 80s when we sold our Alabama territory to a television conglomerate out of Montgomery, Alabama, and I went up to work for Jarrett, and Jeff was just a young kid, and they needed somebody to work with him that would train him. The same thing we're talking about with Hogan and with Sid. They need somebody to work with him, and I fell in there. I said, look, I don't have any problem with him being a young kid, and me being twice his size, and I don't have any problem with that. We're going to be fine. That I don't have any problem with putting him over now and again. I'm not goofy about that stuff either, because he was willing to give it up. He was willing. He knew that I'd beat the living fire out of him, and he knew it. That you know, I'd have to tell him, listen, I'm gonna beat you up real bad, but I ain't gonna hurt you. You know, I'm not gonna send you to the hospital. I'm not gonna send you home with the teeth knocked out or your nose broke or nothing. But besides that, I'm gonna beat you up pretty good tonight. And then when you get your comeback, be recipient. I want you to give me the same thing back, and I don't mind if it hurts, because that's part of the business that we work in, and I expect that out of people when they work for me. And then when I work for somebody else, then I'm going to give them the same benefit. That I'm going to beat you up. I just hope not to hurt you too bad.
And what led to you guys selling your territory?
Tensions. You know, my brother and I worked together for so many years, and and disagreements over this or that, little small things. He booked a year on, I booked a year off, with on and off. So actually it's a pretty decent thing, because I would take a whole year off sometimes from the business, and I'd go work here and there for somebody, but basically go fishing. So he did the same thing. But then there was a lot of question of why this year's not doing as good as that year when you were doing, or I'm doing, or this or that, and the pressures of it. And then, like I said, the problems with good friends like Bob Armstrong. He's like a brother to me. Jimmy Golden and I, we are cousins, but even there's some hard feelings there from time to time, because we were all partners in that business. And so, and it was this and that and the other, till finally, it's just like the Beatles, you know, finally you say, hey man, we're making a ton of money here, but I had enough. And that's what happened to us. I was ready to go to work for Jarrett and let somebody else run the show. Just put me in the ring, give me the push that I deserve. I'll give you a great match, and I don't want all that crap that goes with it. And so I was ready for that Continental thing to close down. And it, like I said, perfect timing for Jeff. And then Jeff and I became the darndest friends, and we have such a good relationship with one another, and Jarrett, and I wouldn't have all that if I'd have just stuck around there in Continental. You got to get out and go sometime to meet people and really see the joys of this business.
What do you think about the people that say Jarrett has a reputation of being a bad payoff guy?
I had the best and maybe some of the worst of that. I told you in the early years that Jerry was proud of the payoff he would give me. He would tell me days before, you know what you're going to make this week? And he would break all records. I mean, he had a lot of money as a young guy. Later in life, when Jarrett had been in business for many, many years, I went to work for him as a booker. And I always insisted when I booked that you let me know the figures of the houses, and I will do my own payoffs, and those payoffs have to be to a strict percentage. And so then if you don't give me the real number on the house, then I can't get the percentage that I need to pay that strict percentage to my talent. And I had some problems with Jarrett because of that. And because of that, we wound up in a short relationship. As me booking there, I probably didn't book there maybe a year if they were at best. But there was some argument that the way boys ought to be paid, and I don't think it's any argument at all. You get a percentage. You have a house, you know what the figure is, you pay the percentage, that's that. That you don't look at it as, well, the house was a sellout, and so I'll turn that in $4,000 less. I wouldn't, you know, when we ran our business, I wouldn't tolerate that. And I wouldn't work for somebody who was doing that very long. You know, I'd worked business long enough to be able to look at a house and tell how many people are there, how much money's there. And if I thought that not only myself, but buddies that I thought a lot of, friends of mine, and that we were getting treated improperly, then I didn't want to stay. And it's easy enough. You don't have to growl and grumble and scream about payoffs and different things. Just find someplace else to work.
Unless it's now and there's not that many other places to work.
Well, yeah, right. But I'll tell you what, if you're working now, if you're working for Vince, don't worry about the money. I mean, it's there.
Yeah. I
mean, goodness, you know, there's not that many places to work, but doggone it, the money's there. You know, I work with the old dirty blondes today that they don't ever get enough money. You know, and I watch out asking them how much money they make, because then I want to speak up for them. And I say, I ain't going to speak up for them. They do whatever they're going to do, they do it, you know. But I tell them, boys, when they deal with me, they're not to talk to you boys about things, because they do. And they'll tell me about a lot of shows. Hey, we can get you on this, we can get you on that. And I said, I don't think they can pay me. And I got to stick strong and firm to, hey, this is what I like to make today. I'm an older fart now, and I don't need all the bullshit. And so, you know, you hire me, you got to pay me. But I try to give you a full day's work.
And how did you end up going to WCW, I guess in the early 90s is when you first came in?
I was working for Smoky Mountain Wrestling for 4 days a week. And I spent 3 days in Cincinnati working for my brother's hockey team. I would make most of my trips out of Cincinnati because I was working there, and then I lived in Knoxville, so it was easy to make those trips and still be involved in my brother's hockey team. And I wasn't crazy about the hockey stuff, but it was paying pretty good. And
what did you do for the hockey team?
I was a marketing salesman.
Okay.
Yeah, I sold space on the ice, signage around the things. I was a marketing salesman, and I was really thinking about kind of easing out of the business and going into the business of marketing. That I was thinking I might be right for that as a job. And as you're getting older, you know, you're not going to take them bumps so much and work the ring. And I always said, if I can't work the ring the way I need to do, then I'm not going to work anymore. And yeah, so right there at that time, then Sid called me, and Sid asked me, you want to go to Atlanta with me, WCW as a colonel? We'll get you a white suit, white hat, big cigar, and you play Colonel Parker, nephew of Tom Parker, the guy who promotes Elvis Presley. And man, I just say, God is good. Yes, I want to do that. I don't have to work. I can go in there and be a manager, just do what I do best. It's BS. And so yes, so Sid got me that job to go in there. And I remember the first night I went in there, Sid's not with me. I'm just promoting him, getting him ready to come in the following week. We got some angles we're shooting, and Dusty Rhodes was the booker in there then. And they come in and they give me a sheet of paper. It's got all the stuff I'm to say, everything in the paper, and I read it and I go, what in the world is this crap? So I go knock on Dusty's door and, hey baby, come on in, what's the deal? You know, I say, well, Dusty, it's this stuff they brought me. They want me to read this verbatim. You know, this is who I am. Yeah, baby, you know, everything's changed in the business today, and yeah, that's what they do. We have the writers, and they write everything, and then you go out there and you say it. If you don't say it, then the writers get all upset, and everybody in here, and the things don't work good. You kind of got to read that stuff and say it like that, you know, and all I say. And I say, well, I'm disappointed with it. And so he says, what you got? Give it to me. And so I just put the paper over there, and I give him my interview, right straight, look him right in the face in the back dressing room. And he looks at me and he says, throw that shit in the garbage. And so, yeah, so I did. Pitch it in the garbage. And they never handed me another paper in WCW again. And I was there for 7 years. Wow. That the writers, and somehow I got by that heat that you would get from the writers writing stuff and you throwing it in the garbage, or either they just stopped writing my stuff. So, but I started doing Colonel Parker the way I wanted to do Colonel Parker, and Sid had a thing in his mind. He said, hey, we want Foghorn Leghorn. Yes sir, man, you're square as a bowling ball, boy. And we wanted that. That's what we wanted. And And that's what we went with, and they started to really click, and that deal just caught on fire, and it was 7 of the greatest years I had in all my life. Now, you know, you say, is there a God up there? Oh boy, there's got to be, because where'd Colonel Parker come from? That it's who I am today. I mean, it is. I'm still in the business today with Major League Wrestling, and I work all these autograph shows around, and meet all the fine people, and man, I'm out there as much as I want to be, and it's majorly because of Colonel Parker.
Were you managing Sid at the time that he had that incident with Arn Anderson?
Yes. Yes, I was, and now, guys that know me, they laugh about this, but they laugh about it today. That when I go to work for a company, and they do overseas stuff, England, France, Britain, Germany, whatever it is, and they say, you got a passport? And I say, nope. We're gonna need to get one. Nope. So what do you mean, nope? I say, well, because I don't go. Oh, you don't go other countries? No. and that's it. Bottom line, don't go. So don't go. So they went to France, Germany, and Britain, and they went without me. And Sid went without me. And I'll just tell you the straight up truth. It wouldn't be any good if I didn't. Sid was doing his steroids. Gosh, did he look good. Man, I mean, he was lit, man. And when he went, he knew that he wasn't going to be able to take his steroids along. So I knew that he took an awful lot of stuff ongoing. So the first night that they're there, he is really, he's ready to explode. And this is what I hear. You know, it's a hearsay, but I'm sure I got the story because I was his man. Had I have been there with him, it would not have happened, because I knew Sid and I knew the possibilities, and I could get ahead of the game and make sure that those things didn't happen. And I think he would back me up on that if he was here today. But I wasn't there with him, and he was on his own. And he got in a confrontation in a bar with Arn Anderson and Steve Austin and somebody else. I don't know what it was, but he wound up insulting Arn, and he insulted Steve. And, you know, the stuff. They just kind of tried to laugh it off, and it went on, and Arn threw a drink at him. And the altercation ensued there, and here come the agents and everybody, and they just closed the bar. They said all of the guys are to go back to the room and get out of here. It's the end of that. And so they go back to their rooms, and Arns goes in there and he's trimming up his beard and working on his beard. We got a little pair of scissors, and Sid goes back to his room and tears up a chair. Takes the leg off the chair and goes down to Arn's room, and Arn is trimming it. He hears a knock at the door. He goes to the door, a little hole. It's Sid, and Sid says, "Arn, let's go to bed on better terms tonight. That that we're on a long trip here, all of us together. You know, open up the door, shake hands." Oh, it'll be all right. So Arn does, and Sid, boom, it's him with the thing. Now I know you probably talked to Sid. I don't know if you got this same story or anything like it. I don't know. This is the story that I got from my buddies, my guys that were there, and also my guy that I took over then, Steve Austin, in which he and I went up and down the road all over WCW for well over a year before he left to go to New York and do Stone Cold. So I had heard this stuff, And that then Arn take the bump back in the floor and Sid jump in on top, and meaning to take the leg from the chair and beat his brains out. And Arn stuck the scissors in him, and then Sid selling the scissors, and the fight starts again, and the scissors go over there, and they fight over the scissors, and Sid gets the scissors, and Arn takes off for the elevator down the hall. He makes it to the elevator, but it's one of them deals that, oh, give me the elevator, give me the elevator, but it don't come quick enough. And Sid catches him there at the elevator and stabs him 28, 30 times with meaning, I think, from what I hear, to kill him. Very bad.
Sid even had actually admitted that part to us, that he was out of control at that point.
He, you know, the steroids, they do something to you, and you just don't know what you're capable of. And it was one of those deals that happened there, and I'm sure, boy, I'm sure, I bet if Sid sitting here right now, sitting next to me, he'd say, "God dog, I regret that. I feel like he'd just be dead, just bad behavior, and nobody's supposed to have bad behavior and get away with it." And he didn't, because, you know, he came back, and I went to the show, the first show that I made, it was here at Bayfront in St. Petersburg, and I see Dustin Rhodes, and I say, "Hey, have you seen Sid?" And he says, "What?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yo, that no good SB." And I said, "What is it? I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't heard anything about it." He said, "Oh, you didn't hear?" And he told me the story. Then I went around, I heard the deal of all the guys and everything, and then I'm standing around, I'm thinking, does this mean I'm finished? You know, I was, because I had nobody to manage. I was there, but my man was fired. Boy, Eric Bischoff came to me and he said, "Hey," he said, "you're not planning on leaving?" Boy, and I was the happiest guy you ever saw in your life. I said, "No, I'm not planning on going anywhere. Whatever you guys have in mind." He said, "Oh, man, you're on a roll." "No, God, tell me you're not going anywhere." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Sorry to hear about Sid, but that's life. That's the way it is." But I felt like, you know, if I'd have been there, that I would have seen all that going down and been able to say, "Yeah, Sid, no, let's go. Let's do this. There's another bar down the street. We'll go someplace and get away from this. Tomorrow's a new day. It'll all be blown away." And instead, it wound up in almost murder. So that's the business, man.
Either of them could have actually been murdered at one point, because it was Arn that first stabbed them too. So
yeah, he did. He did.
How no one got arrested?
He was fighting for his life. He knew that this guy has swerved me, conned me into opening up the door with intentions of beating my brains out with a leg off a chair out of his room. It's a horrible situation to be in. Good gosh almighty, and with a guy as strong as Sid and in good shape as Sid, that I wouldn't have wanted to be on the bad end of that one.
And apparently Bill Dundee was the agent, and he told us he could hear it from his room, but he didn't want to go out.
No, that's not the type of thing you want to go out and run into. You know me. It's just, gosh, I'd be sitting around there. I'll see two guys fighting like that. Whew. You know, and I've been, as the boss, I've had guys look at me and say, "What are you going to do?" You know, because I've been that sort of thing. And I say, "Hey boys, that's concrete you're on." They say, "Is that all you're going to do?" I said, Yeah, that's it. It's not my fight. And eventually they'll blow up, get gassed, and then we'll get a couple of guys and we'll pull them apart. But right now is not a good time. So I wouldn't want to be there for that.
Yeah, and Sid also had a lot of heat against him too, because a lot of guys were jealous of the push he was getting, I guess, and
yeah, because his work wasn't quite up to par, but his ability to fill up the house, sell the tickets, they didn't have anybody better. So there you are. You take it as it is. You got a guy that sells the tickets. That means when your pay comes in, it's going to be higher because more people are buying, right? So I say, why don't y'all get along?
Before I ask you about Steve Austin, there was, of course, Harlem Heat's debut in WCW, which I think Sid helped Harlem Heat get in originally.
He did.
And that was very controversial, but it wasn't. It was kind of misunderstood because I guess they didn't explain it right. So maybe you could explain that whole situation with the Colonel bringing them.
Sid was going to bring them in as Cain and Abel, and they were two guys that had been in jail, and they had just gotten out of jail. Matter of fact, they still had the prison outfits, shirts on, and they were going to be two boys that really had it hard, Cain and Abel, straight from the Bible type of thing. And Sid had it all worked out in his head, and he wasn't even there that night. That's the night that I talked to Dusty. I had this going on. I was going to manage the Harlem Heat, and I was going to introduce Sid for the week after thing. And so I was there without Sid, and the deal was then, because they just got out of the chain gang, that they're supposed to go out with chains around their neck and prison shirts and stuff. And now here I am in the back, and Colonel in a white suit, white hat, and cigar, and foghorn, leghorn, all that stuff going on. And I walk out that curtain. Here comes the smoke. Out comes these boys with the chains and stuff, and me in behind them. Ah, well, here's my boss here. Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh.
That was in Atlanta, too, wasn't it?
Why we didn't get fired? Why we didn't get fired? They screamed. Turner Broadcasting screamed. Oh, my gosh, what in the world is that? It's slaves and a colonel. Oh, we can't believe it. And Sid was the only thing they thought so much of him that kept us all three from being fired that night. Because I just said, hey, I'm just doing what I'm told. But I do see the problem here. But I'm not the one making up the ideas, and so I'm not booking here. I don't own Alabama. I'm in Georgia working for WCW, and I'm doing what I'm told. Other than reading your stinky lines.
But that could have worked if they'd done it with vignettes and some explanation as to why they were in chains in the first place.
Well, yeah, you know what? It might have, but it was just too edgy. It just wasn't one of those things. And now man, every time I see Booker T or Stevie Ray, every time I see, that's what, hey buddy, boy, we just hugged, we just gosh dog, and that's the first thing that comes up. I don't know how we made it. I don't know how we made it. We were fired the first night on the scene. I don't know how in the world we ever made it, but again, there's a God up there, and he's watching over us. He took care of us, and we still got our job. Here you come, Harlem Heat and Sherri, and oh, good Lord and mercy, all the good stuff that happened to them and happened to me. That just a good deal.
And I forgot to ask you about the point in time where you were co-managing Sid and Vader with Harley Race. What was that like, working with Vader and Race?
You know what? I got along real good with Vader. For some reason or other, he just really liked me, and Harley. My goodness, Harley's like my daddy. I love Harley like a brother, a father, or whatever you want to call it. And I have so much respect for him. And when they threw me into that deal, I just said, "Good Lord, this is too good to be true." And we went to do the beach blast, and we went over to the beach to do the big spot there where we confronted Sting and Davey Boy out there with the kids. The funniest thing, we confront them there, they're playing volleyball, and Davey Boy and Sting playing volleyball with a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And I'm working for Major League Wrestling back in Miami just a short time ago, and here comes Davey Boy's boy in, and he tells me, he says, you remember when you did that thing on the beach back in the, yeah. I said, oh yeah. He said, I was a little bitty boy, but playing volleyball. I was like, gosh almighty, you know, now he's a great big dadgum kid. I don't know if you know, he works his...
Oh yeah, he wrestles for our company sometimes.
Yeah, Davey Boy's boy, he's a great guy. He's a really good kid. But he's reminding me how old I am. And I'm saying, oh well, that dog, you were one of the kids out there playing, were you? Yeah, I was one of those kids. No, I loved those guys, and I loved working with them. I know a lot of guys didn't like working with Vader an awful lot. But, you know, and there's some people got hurt, and he was awful rough son of a gun. But some reason or other, I guess cause the old timer, he just said, I kind of like old Rob, and so we got along well.
And did you ever witness any incidents where Harley Race had to show his toughness in a fan attack or anything like that? Any type of confrontation outside the ring? You know what, I didn't. I didn't, not with Harley, some guys, but not with Harley. But I wouldn't want to be on the bad end of that, because Harley was, gosh, dog, he could just reach over and just grab your leg above your knee, you know, just grip and stuff, and just get, hey, how you doing, man? Gosh, dog, you just say, good Lord, you broke my leg, you know, and it's just playing around. That Harley he's a lot tougher than what he looked. That Harley was strong and tough, and yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the bad end of messing with him. And he usually carried guns too, from what I understand. So yeah, may well have. Yeah. May well have. Yeah, I don't think he needed it. No. And you mentioned your time with Steve Austin. Could you go into some more detail on that? And if you could have seen how big a star he was going to be at all in those days? Oh gosh, Steve and I worked together probably a year and a half before he went to New York in Atlanta. And at the time that I was working with him, I was working in the office as an agent, and it was Bill Dundee, Greg Gagne, Mike Graham, Tony Schiavone, me, that we were taking care of business. And so when I heard that Steve was leaving, Steve told me, wait to Augusta one night in the car that I'm going to be going to New York. And I'm a when? Man, what is that? And he says, oh gosh, pretty soon. Like, God, dog. So I have this old timer talk with him. And I say, well, you're making, what are you making? $250,000, 250,000. You got a year on your contract. God, burning bridges. It's a bad deal, son. Burning bridges. I said, you burn a bridge, you can't go back. Old man's story. I'm giving him all the stuff. You might ought to do your year. Go ahead and make you 250, and that's good money. And hang it out, and then go on up to New York. And I didn't want him to leave me either, because he and I were good together. There we are, man. Whew, rock and roll. I thought a lot of him. Then he left, and then 98 years after that, I went up to do Tennessee leave for him, and we're sitting in the dressing room. He's sitting over there, and I know, that year he made 14 million or something in the year with all of his stuff, and really tearing the world apart. And he looked over there and he said, hey boys, he said, old Colonel now, he said, he said, you won't get a better manager, better performer right there, but he said,
Don't let him be handling your business a lot. And I just get a big crack out of it. I find it very funny. But I say, man, you're exactly right. You don't want me telling you not to burn bridges when you're making 250 grand. You got a chance to go make 14 million. I'm not hardly the colonel that ought to be running your business.
And of course, a lot of people remember you as being Meng's manager, and he's a very popular topic on this channel. Do you have any stories about Meng?
Yeah, I do. I got a lot of them. One of them, I'll tell you a funny one. I'm working in the War Games, and I'm on the outside of the cage, and they got Dusty and the Nasty Boys in the ring, and I've got Jim, I got Buck, and then my three guys. I forget who they were, but if they all get beat, my guys, then I have to enter the cage. That's the deal, and then I have to wrestle. Well, me and Meng are on the outside, and I got my Colonel White suit on, and I'm marching up and down, and they beat one of my boys, and he has to leave, and they beat one of my boys, and he has to leave the cage, and I realized, oh my Lord, there's 3 against 1. I'm in serious trouble here. I'm going to have to go in and wrestle, and so I'm selling this to the people, and I go over and I sit down on the steps going into the ring. My white outfit left me kind of sweaty from back and forth from working, and when I get up, somebody says in the crowd behind me, says, "Hey, he crapped his pants." Well, I knew what that was. I knew I sat on that dirty step with my white suit on. So, you know, so I knew that. I knew it. But then, sure enough, they beat the last guy, and now I got to go in. And I'm dying, I'm crying. So the Nasty Boys shoot me, and then bang, and they double team me, and they drop elbows on me like crazy, and Dusty puts the figure 4 on me, and that's hurting because I'm trying to sit up, take the pressure off my legs, and the Nasty Boys are just pounding me with elbows, one and the other, as fast as they can get up, and the other would hit me, the other would hit me. Well, Meng is on the outside, and he's like a wild gorilla. He's on that cage, and the whole cage is shaking. Wow, 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 wow. He's mad. He's mad. He's like, you guys are too much. You know, you're hurting Colonel. And he just loved me, and I love him too. And they beat me, and the deal, and they leave. And Meng comes running in. He gets in through the cage, and he comes over, and I'm laying there, and I'm selling like crazy. And I had the crap beat out of me. And he gets the back of my head, and he picks me up, and his face is right there, just that close to mine. It's almost kissing, but we can almost kiss. He's so close, and he's almost in tears, and he's so emotional, and he says, "Colonel, are you okay?" He says to me with them eyes like that, and I look at him, and I say, "No, Meng, I shit my pants." And with the eyes right close, he cracks up laughing. You know, he cracks. I tell you, you're killing the friggin' business here, son. I said, you can't be laughing. You're supposed to be emotional. Go back to the other guy that you were. But that's just the way he is. He's like, laughing because it was just eye to eye, that close. Like, you shouldn't get that close to my face, brother. You know, because then I laid that line on him. I shit my pants. He just cracked up. Then he went back in the dressing room. The deal was, we were supposed to go back, find their dressing room, and Meng was going to go inside, and he was going to kick the crap out of all 3 of them. They were all in there together. And so he did. Every one of them came out bleeding. Every single one of them. I mean, brutal. Blah, 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 blah. It's not just a bunch of noise. They went in with the cameras and the thing. He tore that place apart, and all of them came out bleeding. And I watched that and I said, damn that guy. Man, you wouldn't want to be on his bad side. I said, good Lord, did he kick the living fire out of them. Meng was something else, man. Got in trouble in a bar with him one night, I have to tell you real quick, and he grabbed a guy's throat, wouldn't let go, choked him out. And Ric Flair says, get him out, get him out, get him out. So me and Pittman, the Sgt Pittman, the Bulldog, we start off down the street and we got Meng, and he's been drinking Jack Daniels, and he don't drink, but this night he's drinking, and here comes the cops. Cars all around us, and we didn't get to the car, and as soon as they get out of the car and the cop comes over and he says, get hands behind your back, and Meng says, nope, 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 won't do it, I'm not going to do it. My hands don't go behind my back, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do it. And the cop saying, you get your hands behind your back, and then Pittman screams out, man says no cuffs, like that, loud. And I say, oh crap, we're all going to get shot. We're going to get something. I'm trying to get Pittman, stay back and pick the thing, talk to the cop and say, listen, you do something where you don't have to do that, because his hands won't go behind his back to put handcuffs on. He's too big. And and the cop is one of these guys that he listens. And I'm telling Bulldog, please don't say any more. Let me handle this where we don't all get shot here tonight, because these guys see the danger in you two guys, and I'm standing in the middle. Poor Rob. There you are. So I mean, he could be volatile, and boy, he could be, but the nicest son of a gun. I spent 3 years going down the road with him, the best 3 years I ever had in my life. Yeah.
And the Stud Stable feuded a lot with Terry Funk, off and on. Any stories about Terry Funk?
Oh, and you could go all night talking about Terry. I had the best match I ever had in my life with Terry. That's one that I can easily tell you. That we had a match in Knoxville, Tennessee. We were pushing my brother to work with. I guess it was Dory at that time, and we had Terry. We had 3 former world champions in the tournament, and I had drawn Terry for the tournament, and so I go out and make my interview on TV, and I say, I'm gonna tell you something. I may not be the world champion. My brother's probably the man to work for this world, to be the world champion and contender. But I'm going to see Terry Funk gets taken out. I'm going to see to it. It's the last thing I ever do. I promise my brother, God above, that I'll take Terry Funk out so my brother doesn't have to come back and beat him in order to get there. That it's the only thing I got to do. I'm going to do it. And so I go out. Me and Terry, we go. Time limit draw. It's got to be a winner. So 5 more minutes. I'm gassed. I mean, to the thing. So the finish on the thing, he's going to put me in a Boston Crab near the corner, and he's going to lean his head forward as the referee's asking me, do I give up? Do I give up? He leans his head forward into the corner to get extra leverage. It's the picture that we're painting, and so I fight and I fight and I fight, but when he gets that extra leverage and thing, I got to give up. So he not only beats me, and I don't do what I said I'd do, God above, I'll take him out, but he beats me with a submission. I give up. I'm gassed. I lay in the ring on my back, and I think I'm having a heart attack. I can't get up. I don't have any energy left to get up. I gave it all, everything. And that Boston Crab, after all of that, it just gassed me so bad. I was,
and that's very painful, like for fans that haven't been in one.
I was near death. I felt like I was near death, and my brother's standing back in the back, And he sees. And we don't have this planned. He sees it. He looks at it. He says, oh, he's having a heart attack. So he comes down to the ring, place quiet. You can drop a pin. And I'm laying there. And Ron comes in, he looks at me, he says, you all right? And I say, I don't know. I don't know. And he said, what's wrong with you? Is your heart? I said, I don't know. I can't get up. So he says, come on. He reaches behind my back and sets me up. Sets me up. And I say, I don't have any energy. I can't stand. So him and the referee, they get me and they pick me up. And I get to my feet. The friggin' place goes crazy. And I realize something. You know, it's something that you take to book, you take to own the territory, to book, that you ain't gotta win to get over. You don't have to win. That those people in that crowd, sold out house that night in Knoxville Civic Center. And they all, in their hearts, I was the hero of the night. I was the best thing there was all night long. That they were, every single one, joined to me like we were all one. And I felt it. And I looked around and I saw it. And I said, this is the best night I've ever had in the ring. I gave up a hold in the middle of the ring, and it's the best thing I ever did in this business because of the way we are in contact, me and these people. And my brother, he took me out of there. And so I look at Terry Funk and I say, boy, whew, you drilled me, man, but we worked friggin' hard. And if you weren't in shape, you couldn't work like that. You couldn't do it. And we beat the cold hell out of one another. And I love Terry for it. That's the kind of guy he is, and you're going to earn your money when you work with Terry. It's the way it is. It's the way it is.
And one of the moments you're most remembered for in WCW is of course, your marriage to sensational Sherri.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, yeah. What a girl. Gosh, dog, what a girl. Oh, goodness gracious. We never dated. We weren't lovers. Never spent any time together romantically. She might have preferred that it would have been that way. A little bit. We lived at La Park, the same apartment complex in Marietta, and we were close. She'd come over and she'd visit me at my place. And I'd always Crown Royal. I'd get it and put it away. So she'd get that glass and pour it up thing, and I was on the 7th floor. So she'd go out and sit on the banister, 7 floors down, drink that damn. Sherri, don't sit up there, honey. Oh, you leave me alone. Oh gosh, it's you can't do nothing with her. She's her own girl. The night that we did the marriage, the night that we did the marriage, we're waiting on her. She don't show up. She don't show up. She don't show up. And they're saying, we may have to call this thing. No, she'll be here. So she shows up, and she's 3 shits in the wind. I mean, she's gone. And the production people say, we can't do it. We can't do it. We can't do it. And she's there, I'm gonna do that thing. So I tell them, I get because we've been waiting all this time, and I tell the production guys, I say, hey guys, this is better. It's better. Run it like this. I'll do the talking. We'll get it. We'll get it. Let her do it. It's better. It's because she's crying about everything. She's whining about everything. She's drunk and shit. And who goes to their wedding drunk and shit? Well, it's a Sherri. That's who. So you do not shoot this. You gotta shoot it. And so that's why it turned out such a wonderful piece, because, man, that was close to real as you can get. I mean, goodness gracious. Sherri was just great to work with. One heck of a girl, and I just loved her, like, miss her bad.
And many people don't remember this, but you managed the amazing French Canadians in WCW, which of course was the Quebecers. They're better known as the Quebecers. Any memories on that and the way that they were used in WCW, which was pretty poorly?
They didn't think they were used well, but I'll tell you something that was happening then. They were not using any finishes where there were disqualifications, run-ins, things. They wanted a winner every night. And if you watch Vince's program today, you see they pretty much give you winners, and they avoid all that other stuff. At that time they were doing that. So those boys had a real good contract. They were making money, and so was I. And I saw two guys that wanted to be used better. But sometimes, you know, when you're making real good money and you think, you wait on that opportunity to be used better. And so I spoke to those guys about it. Again, I used my old timer stuff. Hey boys, now you ain't listen so much. And probably the final night that we did business, I just loved Jock Ruggiero. He's a close friend of mine. I used him in my territory as a young boy when he was finding it hard to get work and get along with guys that I thought he was great, and I used him and I treated him well, and I got my guys to treat him well. And so I had a background with Jock. But Jock wanted to go talk to him, and we were in Chicago about a finish. That they wanted them to put the Harlem Heat over in the middle again, and Jock wasn't going to do it, and so I took him up to the top of the what's the big building there, the basketball building, huge. They had a big
sign. Oh, United Center.
United Center. We're up in the top of there, and I'd set him down and I said, listen, Jock, you do not talk to the office tonight. There's a lot going on. I know. And I said, you don't go talk, you don't talk to the office. And, yeah, well, I'm not happy. What's it? It's not the night. Tonight's not the night. Don't do it. So Pierre's there, and he says, no, don't. Jock, listen to him. Listen to him. So I make Jock promise me that you won't go talk to the office. We'll just do this. We're going to do it. Tonight's important. We're going to do it. United Center, sold out house. Don't mess with this. And so later on in the evening, I see Pierre. I say, where's Jock? And he says, I don't know. I said, I haven't seen him in a while. Where is he? Gone. So, oh, he's in the room with the hierarchy, talking to him. 2 weeks later, we all get our notice. And I was in WCW for 7 years. I could have been with somebody else. And you know, but I had a good run. 7 years is good, a long time. But you know, and I had Jock at my home the other day. He's a dear friend, and he knows. You know, after it was all over, I gave him a call. And I didn't run him over the grill for it. I just said, well, you know what? It happened, and now it ain't happening no more. And he was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just wouldn't listen. I said, no, you didn't listen. And here we are. I got a real long notice because I had a lot of background there. They got a real short one. So
it wasn't even a year, was it? They were supposed to be there for 3 years, I think.
No, they were. Yeah, they had 3-year contract, chance to put away some serious money. But some people, And you know, when I go I had Jock, like I said last week, I had Jock as a visitor at my home. We sat and talked, and Jock sees it. He absolutely sees it. He says, "Oh gosh, dog, man, son of a gun." We say, "Well, we look back on it. Those were the days." And you just pass it on up. There's no hard feelings about anything. That I look at that kid today and say he's a full-grown man and smart as a whip. And so I don't criticize 1 ounce.
And unfortunately for them, they ended up returning to WWE, and they weren't used any better there. And I don't think they even lasted very long there either, unfortunately. But it seems like Jacques ended up doing well on his own after that, with his own company and school. And Pierre is now just got signed by Ring of Honor, and he was in MLW.
What a guy! And what a guy! What a guy, Pierre. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. I'll tell you what, I've run across a lot of guys as Colonel Parker, let alone all the years of running my own business. And get it, you know, if I just went down through the line to tell you how many guys, I gave them the names, how many of them got their name. But Honky Tonk, Wayne Ferris, he's working for me, and I looked at him, I said, "You look like Elvis Presley, you got the sideburns, all the thing." I said, "Get a jumpsuit, get a guitar." He said, "I don't play the guitar." I said, "You don't have to." I said, "Get a guitar, get me a jumpsuit. You're going in the ring, honky tonk man. Honky tonk. All you can do is just, and I'll play the friggin' music. You'll be okay." It saved him because he worked for Vince, and when he got ready to leave Vince says, "I own Honky Tonk, you can never use it." And he said, "Oh no, Robert Fuller's the one that gave me that name." And he had it on a poster from, so when they went to do the Sioux job, he said, "Here it is. I got Honky Tonk in Pensacola, Florida." And a lot of guys like that. They said, you know, I'd give them a name. They'd come in and say, "Ah, that doesn't work. Try this out." And when Hogan left, he was Terry the Hulk Boulder for us. And when I heard they called him Hulk Hogan, I went, "What in the world? What are they doing to that boy? What a stinking name!" Wrong again, Rob. What are you gonna do?
And to get in your time in WWE, I guess there must have been some contact shortly after your WCW release.
You mean how did I get in there?
Yeah.
That was that Jeff had written some stuff in about being the greatest performer, greatest dancer, greatest wrestler, all that stuff. So he wanted the greatest manager. So they wanted to bring me in, and then Vince gave me the Tennessee League because they want to own that. So I wore some of my stuff from Colonel Parker, not the white suit, but some of the stuff. And then I wore other stuff here. You see here, I've got my Davy Crockett jacket on with me and Jeff in the picture here. Yeah. That was from that. That was from WWF. But when I got ready to leave there, they wanted to take all likeness, all stuff, you know. So they wanted to own my Colonel Parker without owning it. You see, because I had made the mistake. I had worn some stuff, and I had done things that looked like Colonel Parker to work for them.
Right.
And so, yeah, yeah, I had some ins and outs with them about it till they sent me a contract that said it got rid of all that likeness, all that thing, all that stuff, so that I could go on being Colonel Parker.
Was Tennessee Lee your name that you came up with, or did they give that?
That was Vince.
Okay.
And I loved it. I heard Tennessee Lee, I said, "Man, I'm off to the races." Yeah. That's right, that's just right down my alley. Tennessee Lee? Goodness gracious. I'm proud of a name like that.
And how was it being on the road like that? Because I guess in WCW, they didn't do as many house shows as WWE.
No, and it was hard. you know, I hadn't wet my feet on catching an airplane every single day, heading someplace, being lost all the time. That about 3 months into that, I'm looking at myself going, you know something, I might be a little worn and tethered and old for this business, because I was dragging around pretty bad. But I love to work. I loved working with Jeff. I loved the work, and I darn sure loved the money. And I never worked anywhere to carry home the money that you do working for Vince. And
that was probably one of their top time periods too, when Austin was on top with The Rock.
Oh, it was great. It was great. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. When I worked for WCW, I had a contract, and they paid my contract, and it was a decent contract. So I'm a happy camper. I go to work for Vince, and they got a contract. Then they pay you per show. Then they pay you per pay-per-view. Then they send you the royalties. And I go home, I got 4 checks in the mail. I say, you know what? When Austin said, I think I'm going to New York, and I went, oh, don't burn your bridges. What a goof. That I was riding high with WWF, and I'm proud I got a chance to work there. I'm proud I got a chance to work with Vince. An incredible guy. And yeah, just life's good, man.
And I heard they wanted to give you an office job at the end of your run there. Why did you turn that down?
Yes. I had a real funny conversation. I was in the garden and had a match with Blackwell, and Jeff worked. I thought they had a great match. And Lanza came in, and he said the worst friggin' match he'd ever seen in his life. And it really gave Jeff a serious cussing. I didn't agree. Right before that, Vince had caught me out in the hallway, and he had said, hey, he said, I'm going to bring you up to the office and pick your brain or something. So, I'm tired. I'm tired of the road. I'm tired of the whole deal. But so I look at him and I say, well, I'm very busy right now. I know he's thinking you're freaking busy because I'm hiring you. But I'm saying, no, I'm a very busy guy right now. And I said, you know, when I got a week off or a few days off, fly me up and we'll throw some ideas around. And he just looked at me like, you don't understand what I'm telling you, you know. And he says, I'm interested in bringing you into the office. And I say, Vince, I don't do computers. You know, I said, I don't even email. I don't text. I don't email. I got a telephone. It only calls. I said, I don't do it. He said, we'll get you a laptop. And I looked at him, classic, and I said, I already have a guitar. Flat top. Oh, laptop. Oh, I got it all wrong. We had the shittiest conversation anybody ever had about going into an office. And so then they cussed Jeff out that night and the whole deal. Then they were going to get rid of Jeff and all of this happening. And so they tell me a couple weeks later we're in San Diego and they say, oh, you're going to do a deal tonight and you're done with Jeff. And Jerry Briscoe says, hey, buddy, you're in the office. And I said, what? You know, office? He said, yeah, Vince talked to you. I said, no. I said, that conversation was actually, I'm going to the office? Yeah. Where's Vince? So I went to Vince and there he is, and I say, hey Vince. I said, I ask you how you guys do business. I said, you know, I'm managing the guy. I got bookings all over. I come to one town and they find out in here they're going to hurt me, the thing, I'm out, and I'm going to the office. I said, is that the way you guys do business in here? And Vince says, yep. Yeah. And I say, well, it sucks. I said, you know, I've heard guys that have a better opportunity to know where they're going and going and things. Oh, it's a great opportunity. I said, sucks. Out I went. And then they called me. Bruce called me. And they called me and called me and called me. Paid me for a long time. And they just said, go home, relax a little bit, think about it. And you know, then they give me 3 weeks, and then they call me, and I say, no, I don't think I'm going to do that. Till finally, they realized I ain't going to do it. I said, you know, I'm too old, too worn, too tethered. I can't do it. That I'm just not up to it, boys. And they finally figured it out, and they called me and gave me a notice. And I've been a happy man ever since.
So I guess by that time you wanted a break and you didn't try and reach out to WCW after that.
That's it. I didn't want any more work. And then, you know, then you get the autograph shows, and you get the reunions, and you get the Legends conventions, and you get the things that and I go and I love it. I love it. And I do 1 or 2. I'll do 3. I'm working hard, and life is really, really good. And I hate to say, you know, I pretty much had enough, but I think we all get to a point where we realize that I just can't contribute what you're asking for, and I'm not going to come in and fake it. That, you know, I'm not going to come in and say, yeah, I'll do this for you, and then walk around without a thought in my mind to help you. That if I'm not able to fire you up, sell out your house, give you a bunch of ideas that you go, hey, hibby jibby, man, that's good. That if I can't do that, then I'm going to sit at the house, watch grass grow. And that's pretty much what I'm doing now.
And you did make one appearance for Impact in 2006. What was that all about?
I made one deal that Bobby Heenan and Sherri and myself went over. They wanted us to do a thing. We're biting for Bobby Roode. One of us is going to wind up with him. So I'm talking to him in a limousine, and Sherri's talking to him in a fancy hotel room. And each one of us are trying to buy him. We're trying to get him on board with us. And I did a deal with them, but we knew they were going to bring one of their girls out of the crew, and so they just paid us a whole lot of money to come over and act like we were doing something with Bobby Roode. And so that was my in and out of that. And you know what? Anybody that wanted to do that, they say, hey, I got this deal, it's kind of interesting. You come, you play this part for me, and I'm going to pay you a lot of money for it. Guys, let the word get out. I'm still doing it.
How can people contact you about bookings now that you bring that up?
Quite a few, and I'll be honest with you, I put my price too high, and then I don't get them.
Oh, I see.
but now, and I won't say that, because sometimes I do get them. Yeah.
And how did you end up in MLW?
The boys, the Dirty Blondes, those kids, they live around here. I worked with them in Dothan, Alabama at a reunion show. I just fell in love with those guys. They're the nicest. I'm telling you, they got hearts big as a football, both of them. And they called me. They said, Rob, if you do this with us, we'll pick you up at your front door. We'll buy you beer. We'll haul you to the thing. We'll bring you back, set you down in your dadgum easy chair when it's all over. You'll never drive a lick. You'll never do a thing. So when I talked to Court Ballard, the main man in court, tells me, hey, the boys, they love you. They're going to take care of you. They're all, and we quiver over the money. And I say, well, you know what? It's 1 day a week, a month. one day a month to do tapings for you guys. Now I go for 2 because I do production for them one day and then the other day, and I don't make a whole ton of money, and I let myself down on that deal of saying, hey, you're going to pay me. I don't really do that with them an awful lot, but I tell you what, I really enjoy the company. It's a lot of people from WCW, a lot of people I work with in WWF. Court himself is a great guy, and there's a lot of good guys. There are agents there and there's stuff, and to be honest with you, I have a ton of fun with it, and when I get to where I don't, I won't be doing it no more.
Who's booking MLW now?
Hard to keep up with it. It is. You know, it was Bruce. When Bruce was there, I was a happy camper. I really think a lot of Bruce. And Tommy worked for us for years and years, his brother, and I just really have real high regard for him. And I'm not sure who's doing the booking there, to be honest with you. They come around, and the last time I was there, they had this beautiful story with this beautiful little gal who's in her early 20s, and she's smitten by the colonel, and she's going to wind up being a gold digger and take all my money, and I'm falling in love with her because what in the world am I going to do with a girl in her early 20s? And it was the greatest storylines, and I enjoyed doing it so much, but I haven't seen one piece of it on their TV yet. So I'm hoping to see some of that, and if I don't, then I'll realize, well, they're just shooting a whole bunch of stuff with me, and I don't know if it's going to get there or not.
And I'm going to ask you a couple live fan questions as we wrap this up. Someone asks if you still talk to Double J.
Yes. Yeah, every chance I get. Every chance I get. If I go to an autograph show or a legend show, and I'm in the bar and I bump into that kid, it makes my night. I'm telling you, man. I see him, it's that grin. He's got that grin. He got just like family. I just love that boy.
And is there any common booking mistake you've seen promoters make over the years that's something that a booker today could take as advice?
I don't know. You know, that's I don't know. I give advice as a booker. Bookers ought to have the most fun of anybody in all the world. I mean, they develop characters, and they set people's lives afire. And when they hit it right, somebody just gets glorified in life, makes a ton of money. That it's the greatest job in all the world if you're winning, if you're getting it done. But I tell you what, my advice to any booker would be love your crew. Really, really care for your crew. You get a good crew, guys that work with you, they get what you want done. They're your backbone. They're what makes you work, and that you got to love your crew. You got to go all out for them, man. I've quit places because of money, because I've said, hey, I'm going to treat my crew good, and you're not going to screw my crew over, because they're my backbone. They're my brothers, and we stand together. And and I've always said, man, I have guys that followed me from place to place to place to place, and we are dear friends like brothers. And man, I would never let them have one day of bad luck if I could keep them from doing it, because they're what makes me tick.
Someone's asking if you could give your thoughts on Burkhouse Brown, who just passed.
Great guy, a dear friend, great guy. Boy, man, we did that old stuff back in the day of, couldn't get away with it today, where I put him into my stable and then treated him bad because he was black. And Brick House, gosh, dog, he saw what we were doing, that I was trying to build a black guy that could sell the house out every time he walked through the door. And Brick House saw it. And in order to do that, you got to get people's hearts connected with your heart. And you got to give up an awful lot of things before you can achieve that. And the Brick House was a friend of mine who said, lay it on me, baby, because I know that what you're telling me is right. That when this is all said and done, and you achieve with my character what you want to achieve, I'm going to be rolling in the dough. And that I loved him for that. I sure did. He was a great friend of mine.
Somebody says, what are your thoughts on George Goulas, the guy who killed wrestling in my town, Chattanooga, Tennessee? George
Goulas?
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel sorry for him. I do. You know, he was his father was in the business just like mine, but he didn't have the background nor the ability to do what his daddy wanted him to do and what he wanted to do. But he had the heart for it. He wanted to, but sometimes you just can't. And so anything I'd have to say, I'd say I feel sorry for him.
What stud stable run was your most popular stud stable run?
Probably Memphis. The Memphis thing had a bunch of great guys, and Brick House was a great part of that. We weren't just a stud stable type of thing. We all ran together and drank together and sat by the pool together and told jokes and rode in the car together. We were buddies.
Someone's asking, what's the worst bump you ever took?
Goodness gracious. I don't know. Man, I used to like to think that I could, back in the Jerry Lawler days, back in the early 70s, me and Lawler working together, that you could backdrop me over the top. I didn't touch anything. Stuff like that. And it's a wonder I'm not hurt worse than I am today. I have problems today, neck, particularly knees, ankles, elbows, and shoulders, and all that stuff you have. But the trouble with my neck and stuff, because I believed for years and years that I could jump off a 6-story building and not only survive, but get up and walk away. And that comes back to get you when you're reaching about 70 years old.
How heated were things when Jarrett split from George Goulas?
It was pretty heated, but Jerry's a good man. He's a good, godly man, and tends to handle things good. Nick Goulas, I thought a lot of him too. Great promoter. He put that fire in you. Come on, boy, get up and fire. When there's some things he had. He wasn't a good payoff man at all. He made Jarrett look like a rich guy paying you. He wasn't very good with that wallet. He was one of them guys, he'd take out that big wad of money, look you in the eye, and hand you $1 bills or whatever it is until he saw your face. Oh, he's happy. That's it. Put your wad back up.
Do you think the Hollywood Blondes were split up too soon?
Not for me. Not for me. Boy, I love Pillman. Me and him. Whew, did we have a heck of a match for that chicken match thing. It's one of the best matches I ever had in my life, and I was well in my 50s. And man, he took me to task. Gosh, dog, man, we burned it down. I had all kinds of respect for him, loved him, and Steve the same way. But I needed a guy. That Sid was gone. I needed a guy, and they had me busting that deal up, and I can't say that I even thought about that. I thought, well, it's time that they want to do this, so they're going to do it. So.
Someone's asking if you ever worked any matches in Paducah, Kentucky.
Not much.
Any Ric Flair stories? Someone's asking.
Yeah, got a lot of Ric Flair stories. Yeah, I got one Ric Flair story. I got my year off. My brother's booking, and I got a year off, and I'm taking that year sitting on my butt fishing, and my brother calls me up and he says, "Hey, we need you to work with Rick in Mobile. We got all the towns booked with everybody." But I say, "Hey, I'm not in shape. I hadn't been working. I haven't been doing anything." So, no, I'll work with him in Mobile. You'll be okay. So I go to work with him, and we're 20 minutes into the match. We got a 35-minute match, and 20 minutes into the match, I tell Rick, I say, I'm going to throw up. I'm sick. I'm gassed. I'm done. So I said, so just beat me. And Rick says, no. He said, we got another little time to spend. He said, I'll just shoot you in, drop down, you come back, I'll trip you over, you go out on the floor, vomit, and do your thing, then come back in, we'll finish. Oh, goodness gracious, have mercy on me. But that's Rick. That's the way it is with Rick. And then I'm going to go back in, and now we're really going to fire things up. And so, in other words, you know, you're not here to get off easy. We got to give these people a show. And I wish I hadn't have done so much fishing.
And last fan question I'll ask you is AEW going to be another hotshot company that goes under quickly, or do you think it has potential?
You know, I wish everybody well. I do, but that's a tough question. I really don't know. I would say probably not going to work too well, but the way things are today.
And they're signing people to 3- and 4-year contracts like Jericho and Cody Rhodes and stuff. That's a lot.
Well, when you start doing that, you pretty well shut your door right there. Yeah.
And I wasn't going to allow another fan question, but this is a good one. Any thoughts on Buddy Landel?
Buddy Landel, crazy as a loon. Good buddy, good friend. Hot dog, man, what a fun time you could have with old Buddy. But, whew, what a mess.
We just interviewed Knobs yesterday. Do you have any stories about the Nasty Boys?
Yeah, I got the story of how they about killed old Vinnie Torelli. You know who Vinnie Torelli is?
I don't know who Vinnie Torelli is.
That's Shamrock.
Yeah. Oh yes, I forgot. Of
Ken
course.
Shamrock.
Yeah.
Well, he was Vinnie Torelli. We were working back in the South Atlantic, living in Charlotte. Everybody's all steroided up. It's a bunch of young guys, man. We got Curtis Thompson and Chavis, the Tatanka, the Indian, and all these, and Vinny there, the Shamrock, Vinny, and all these guys are bench pressing 500 pounds, and the Nasty Boys are in there, and me and Matt Bourne sharing a room, and it's just, we go to the bars at night. We can't go to many bars because we've been kicked out of every single bar we go to, but we're in one of the bigger bars there one night, and Vinny's got his girlfriend there with him, and now, when I say Vinny now, I mean Ken Shamrock. You people all know him, so I'll go to Shamrock, forget his real name. And Knobs is there at the bar, and he reaches over, he pinches her boobie. And, oh dang boy, Vinny goes crazy about it. But the girl is, a lot of the guys know the girl, so it's not just Vinny's girl. It's just, but whatever. But Vinny's he's gonna kill Knobs. He's going after him. And security comes and the police, and they get Vinny, and they're holding him. They're going to take him out, but he's getting at it. So when Knobs sees he's got him good, Knobs gets his face like this in the face, and he like you do with an orange thing, you know. It's got his face like this. Get him out of here. He shoves him backwards, and when he does, then the other security, they get Knobs, and they and so they're going to throw them both out, and they're taking Vinny to jail. I don't know, because he's fighting, he's going crazy. So they take him, And we get Curtis Thompson, we say, you get Knobs, get him out of here. We're going to pay the bill, get everything straightened up, and we'll come out. We go out to the car, and kind of cars are parked together, and Knobs is down under the car. Curtis Thompson's kicking the shit out of him. He's down, he's drunker than hell, and he's down there. So we get in the car and go back to the room, and about, I guess, 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm sleeping, and I hear a knock at my door. And I go over and I open up the door, and it's Shamrock's girlfriend. And I'm thinking, what she want to see the old stud here for, you know? She's a cute girl, you know, and she said, oh, Vinny's gonna kill Knobs. And I say, what? Vinny, you know, I'm half asleep, and here comes Shamrock down the stairs. And he's coming downstairs, and he falls, and he just boom, 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 boom down the stairs, and he comes and he knocks my door open. I'm butt naked. And he runs and shoves me back, and he says, where's Knobs? Where's Knobs? And I know, but I don't much want to tell him, you know, but I'm scared not to. And I tell him, I think it's second, third floor, I don't know what room. So he goes up. I'm doing the booking. So I get my pants on, my stuff, and I just dress fast as I can. I go up the stairs because I know where their room is. They're on the 3rd floor. So I'm going up the stairs, and I hear. I can hear it way down the hall. Pow, 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 pow. I was like, oh gosh, there's a good fight's going on. Well, apparently, Shamrock went up. And Sags is on the phone with his wife. The big heavy telephones they used to have in the room. And he's talking to his wife, got a long cord on there. And Knobs is laying on the bed, passed out. Was all drunk, legs hanging off the back of the bottom of the bed. And then he knocks on the door. Sags opens the door, and he just shoves Sags out of the way and just jumps on the bed on top of Knobs and just starts beating the living crap out of him. Now this is what I hear. I'm not seeing this. I'm just hearing it coming down the hallway.
You did see that Knobs was passed out earlier.
No. But the story is Sags hit him with the phone. Back of the head, hit him with the phone, knocked him goofy out on the floor, and then Sags put the boots to him. And by the time I got there, Sags was picking him up, had him waist high, and he was dragging him. He was going to throw him over. 3 stories, he's going to throw him over. And I walk around the corner, in the door, and me and Sags, our eyes hit, and Sags just drops it, and he goes, oh God, oh God. And I look at Shamrock, and his head is as big as a basketball, and you could not recognize him, no way, and all bloody. Blood was all over the walls like Machine Gun Massacre. The blood was high as the vent there, up the wall, all over the room, blood all over everything. And Knobs laying on the bed, legs hanging off from the knees down, hands like this, like you bury a guy. Yeah. Blood running out of his nose, running out of his mouth. Passed out. Or I don't know if he's passed out or if he's knocked out or what the deal is. And I look at Sags and I go, call 911. You know. And I look at Sags, I say, he ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it. And Sags goes, oh God, oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. Bad trouble. I already had something going on. No, I don't need this, you know. Yeah.
They mentioned that they came there to get away from a different territory where they had heat.
They had a Sags said, I already got a problem, and he's just like, oh no. I'm saying, get help for him now, immediately. Police, everybody. Get help, because you know, I said, I never have seen anything like that. I never seen a guy's head like you can't recognize him fat like that, big like that. His brain swelled up or something. I said, he ain't gonna make it. So they take him, and so that's pretty much the story. That they wake up the next morning, Sag's got his hand in a bucket of water. Knobs goes, yeah, what of the day? Yeah, what a hell of a day. You don't even realize nothing happened. Crazy, crazy.
So what was the police involvement of that?
They came and they took Vinny to the hospital, and we all vouched for Sags that he came in. He came to my room. He came in there. He bolted his way in the door. He meant to kill Knobs, and so nobody got arrested.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody got arrested, and after that, the boys just went around making sure Shamrock's here, I'm over here, Shamrock's there, I'm over there. You don't want to be Shamrock's here, I'm over here. You don't want that one.
No. And they never saw each other again until years later.
Right, right. So it had some years to cool off a little bit.
Although we did interview Shamrock, and I don't think he's fully cooled off about it just yet.
All right, man.
And the last question I'll have for you is, as a wrestling promoter, I just want to know what your best promoting advice would be for wrestling promoters out there.
Well, do something that's going to sell out the house. That's the only thing going to keep you in business. You gotta do something that's going to sell out your house, and know your talent. Know your potential with your talent. I mean, if you're a smart man and you're a good booker and you know what your possibilities are, and being able to sell out your house and figure out a way to do it. That's the whole answer. You get the dollars in your pocket, pay your boys right, move it on up to some better boys and good boys, and try to make it.
And to wrap this interview up, is there any message that you want to say to your fans out there?
I just love every one of them. I love to go to these legend shows and these autograph signings and this stuff, because I really enjoy bumping into the folks. I'm not one of these guys that finds that hard. That I put on the old Colonel Parker tip the hat deal. I go to a lot of them with old Buck, Bunkhouse Buck, and he puts on the Bunkhouse Buck outfit and tars up his face and gets ugly as smut, and we still do it the way you ought to do it. We don't go in there two guys that you look over in the corner and say, who is that? We put on the garb and do the deal because we love it, and we love seeing you folks taking pictures with you. And I hope to see every one of you I can before I'm gone.